La la la. Yeah, it's working. I think. Oops. What? Oh no. I think it's working. I think it is live and working well. Please feel free to inform me if there's any issue with the audio or the visual. But hopefully it's coming through okay. I'm not very very technical, so I'm not really familiar with all these different things I have to be aware of when buying equipment and computers and things and all the internet stuff. And I haven't got. I would if I was like had more time, I would research it and look into it a bit more. But I haven't got that time free to do that. So yeah. So yeah, I just kind of do what I can, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I've switched to Chrome and it's working on this computer. So we'll have to see how this goes during the stream, and yeah. So hi, welcome to the YouTube stream. I think I've missed about maybe 3 streams, but I normally do these streams every Thursday evening at 8:30 p.m. UK time on this YouTube channel. So you watch it here, and then you can ask questions through Skype, either through calling in or through writing the question out in Skype. And my Skype is Rebekah Maroon. Yeah. So this is a non-duality, not to talk. Yeah. On the internet, on YouTube, for free. It's a pretty cool thing that we have this computer and the internet. We can communicate and share our passions. We can share our ideas, our thoughts, our feelings, our interests, our perspectives, our points of views. It's pretty cool how we have this the internet. So I've called this talk Undivided. I couldn't really think of a title, so I just thought of that last minute and wrote it in the title name. And it's an apt title for what we're talking about. Undivided. So I'll introduce the topic and then you can ask questions through Skype. And I have my phone for Skype now, so I shall use that. Hi, Sammy. Sammy, add me on Skype. I will add you. I'll accept your okay. It's really funny to do a talk because like I've put that title Undivided and yet I don't really have anything to talk about. So it's funny. A talkless talk. So non-duality isn't about anything. It isn't about an idea. It isn't about a belief. It isn't about learning something. It isn't about knowing something. It isn't about a feeling. It isn't about bliss. It isn't about reconditioning. So it isn't about being a good person. It isn't about being it isn't about being a healer. It isn't about being a great parent. It isn't about being special, being kind. It isn't about loving everyone. It isn't about being rich and successful or being poor and a failure. It isn't about anything. It isn't about anything. And that can leave the mind like, oh, well then what's the point? What's the point in this subject if it isn't about... That picture is so wonky. I've just seen it in the camera. What's the point in it? What's the point in all these talks and things? That can be the mind's interpretation of it. You always need some kind of reason, some kind of story about what's happening. It has to mean something. It has to be fitted into my story somewhere. But what if that story of you, that story of who you are, that story of what this is, that story of where you're heading to, what if none of that is actually real? Not as in it doesn't appear, but what if that isn't actually a reality? What if thoughts aren't a reality? What if thoughts are just appearing? What if descriptions are just appearing? What if this speaking is just happening? What if this looking is just happening? What if hearing is just happening? What if life is just happening? What if feelings are just happening? What if it's all just happening here? What if the idea of time is simply that, an idea of time, an idea of future, an idea of past? What if it isn't intrinsically real? What if this is just an appearance, simply happening, simply appearing? And it isn't heading anywhere. It's just appearing. Then what does that mean for that story of you? What does that mean for this story of you heading somewhere in time, heading somewhere in the future? That's what's being pointed to, that this is appearing, that this is happening, life is happening. It doesn't mean anything, it's not going anywhere. Even if seeming meaning appears, even if seeming time appears in description, in communicating, it has no value, it has no reality to it, other than its appearance. In this instant, it's appearing. Like everything else. It means this is undivided. It means this is not separate. This is not happening to a separate someone. That this is just seeming movement happening, seeming form happening, seeming change happening, seeming flow happening. Where is that dividing line? Where is that division in this happening? And we can describe division, we can say that's a computer, it ends here. This is a hand, it ends here. You can describe it like that. But it would have to be a real computer for it to be believed. It would have to be a real space between the two things. There would have to be separation. The computer ending there, and this space, and then the hand beginning. But it's all appearing. It's all appearing. The seeming difference is a seeming difference. It's all appearing. Equally. So only in the mind can there be division. In the labeling, in the ideas. And this isn't saying that that doesn't need to happen, it happens. The mind divides, the mind labels and categorizes and separates. That's its way of functioning. So this isn't about the end of that functioning. It's just the end of that being true. The end of the mind being reality. the end of the mind being the way it is. Because this is before the mind, or without the mind labeling and categorizing. This is. And the mind also is. The mind isn't a villain or an enemy. It's just the identification with mind, this sense of I exist, this story of me, this mental story of me is real. It's who I am. The story of someone is who's listening now. The story of someone is who's sitting here looking. That's not true. That's a mental position, giving the energy, the sensation of feeling as if that's true, as if that's really someone listening and speaking. That's a limitation, and it's not true. And this is exposing that not trueness. It's questioning and exposing that. How cute is this? It's so cute. It's not real. It's a little. So this is undivided. Whatever's happening is undivided. It's perfection. Not perfection in the way we imagine it as humans. We've been told stories of perfection, stories of heaven, where there's no this or no that. But this is, I would say, even better than that projection of heaven, because everything's allowed, everything's included, good and bad, right and wrong, hot and cold, everything. It's unconditional. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be the way we imagine it to be. It's the way it is. How beautiful. How unconditional. So there seems to be a dropping away of something that was claiming to be separate. Something claiming to exist, something claiming to be a separate controller in charge of life. Claiming to be divided from the whole. Dropping of that illusion that there is something divided from this. And I have no idea how that happens. There's no instructions or steps, because who would take those steps? That illusion of someone. So I can describe it as a dissolving of something that was never even real. But there's no way of it, like making that happen or helping that to happen. How could you even possibly begin in helping an illusion to not be there? You could say it's out of our hands. It's out of anyone's hands, because there isn't anyone. It's life happening. There just seems to be an attraction or resonance or attraction to this message. There's an attraction to it beyond the person, beyond the mind, like a moth to a flame. There's a love of it. Okay, maybe that's enough talking. Let's see if there's any question. Oh, yeah, I remember to go back to someone. My two questions. Everything is love. What's the meaning of this? Does it mean even worry and fear is love? How? And number two, are we unconditional joy? Everything is love. What's the meaning of this? Everything is love. Worrying, fear, anger, annoyance. Everything is love. I need a holder for this thing. Everything. That's why it's undivided. It's everything. It's everything. It's this. What is happening? All things. And there aren't really things. It's undivided. There aren't separate things. Appearances is a good word. It appears. It appears. There's a perception of camera, of light, of wall, of clock. There's a perception, but it's not. They aren't really things. They aren't separate things, separate forms. So beautiful, undivided. Nothing is everything. How? 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 I don't know how. It just is. It just is. How's from the mind? How? I want to know how. I want to dissect it and pull it apart and find something. And then have it and then know it and control it and own it. So it's mine. How becomes irrelevant. How becomes irrelevant. It is. Are we unconditional joy? It's kind of similar to love, really. Joy, love. Yeah. This is love, this is joy. That doesn't mean just to emphasize, because I feel like particularly spiritual people have this idea about everything being like rosy and always being happy and high and joyful. But when I communicate this, I'm not speaking about that. I'm not speaking about a feeling or an experience of happiness or experience of joy. That happens, yes. Like what we are, what this is total emptiness, totally free and empty. Not a thing, but also it's all things. It's all things. So I like to emphasize the pain as well. The pain, the sorrow. All things. All things. When you just want it to be happy and joyful, the experience, I mean, then you're always rejecting what isn't that. You're rejecting a part of what you are, which is all things. So if you're looking just for pleasure, then you're always going to lose it. And then there's suffering at the idea of losing it, believing that pleasure was it, and it can't be it. Thank you, Prachi. Hi, Sammy. I live in the UK and I have seen a couple of your videos. I suffer with a severe anxiety disorder, which I am having psychology for, but I have also delved a little into the spiritual path, but feel a little frightened to go further. I'm not sure if this is something you can help me with. I think it's great to have support for anxiety or depression. And it's also great that you're looking into spirituality as well as getting that psychological support for your anxiety disorder. I wouldn't say I could help you with your anxiety disorder. I can't really help you in that respect. I think what I point to, what I'm describing, is total freedom. So having anxiety or no anxiety isn't really to do with what I'm talking about. It's total freedom. It's a discovering of what you are, not you as Sammy, not you as you imagine an entity, but of what this is. A seeing of who's being attacked with anxiety isn't who you are. Thank you, Sammy. That's all the questions. So we just sit for a little bit and see if any questions come in. This birthday card's really sweet. You can see it. Sweet birthday card. My daughter turns 7 this week, so I've been doing the birthday stuff. Okay, so there's no more questions. At least the stream, it worked, so that's great news. So I'm back next Thursday at 8:30, so you can join then. Have a great week. Bye.